A single fruit can improve your insulin sensitivity in just 6 weeks. But if you eat it the wrong way, you destroy up to 70% of its benefit without even realizing it. That's not an exaggeration. That's what the data shows. And here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. Right now, in your kitchen, there are probably 7 different fruits sitting on your counter, in your fridge, or in a bowl on your table. 3 of them are quietly helping your blood sugar stabilize. The other 4? They're doing the exact opposite. Spiking your glucose, stressing your liver, pushing your body closer to insulin resistance day after day. And nobody is telling you which is which. Not your doctor. Not the label on the package. Not even most nutrition advice online. Because the truth is, fruit is one of the most misunderstood foods in modern medicine. You've been told fruit is healthy, but that's not the full story. Not even close. Some fruits act like slow-release medicine inside your body. Others hit your system like liquid sugar, faster than white bread. And the difference doesn't just come down to how much sugar is inside. It comes down to something far more important. Something most people have never been taught. And today, we're going to expose it. Because by the end of this video, you're going to see fruit completely differently. I'm going to rank 7 of the most commonly eaten fruits, from worst to best, based on what they actually do to your blood sugar. Not what you've heard. Not what's printed on the label. What actually happens inside your body. And when we get to number 1, you'll understand why a 1-year-old woman named Doris was able to drop her A1C from 8.4 to 6.1 inches just 90 days by changing one thing. One fruit. Her endocrinologist didn't expect it. Most people wouldn't believe it. But the mechanism is real, and it's backed by clinical research. My name is Dr. Miller, and today I'm going to show you exactly what Doris did, why it worked, and which fruits you need to stop eating immediately. So stay with me, because what I'm about to show you, especially in the final section, could save you from one of the most dangerous mistakes people make with fruit every single day. Here's the truth most people never hear. Fruit is not one thing. It's not good or bad. It's a cabinet full of different medicines. Some heal you. Some quietly make things worse. And a few look identical on the outside, but do completely different things inside your body. Here's what actually happens. The sugar in fruit, fructose, doesn't go straight into your bloodstream. It goes to your liver first. And in small amounts, with fiber intact, your body handles it just fine. But when that system is overloaded, when the fiber is missing, or the sugar hits too fast, your liver gets flooded, like a sink with the drain clogged. It converts that excess into fat. And worse, it starts ignoring insulin. Now your blood becomes thicker, slower, like honey instead of water. Note, that's the beginning of insulin resistance. Here's the key. Fiber and polyphenols act like brakes. They slow everything down. They protect you. Without them, it's no different than drinking soda. And that's exactly why the number 1 fruit on this list doesn't just avoid the damage. It actually helps reverse it. Let's start with number 7. Watermelon. And I know that probably sounds wrong. Watermelon is refreshing, hydrating, light. Most people think of it as one of the safest fruits you can eat, especially in the summer. That's exactly why it's dangerous. Because what matters isn't how it feels. It's what it does to your blood sugar. Watermelon has a glycemic index of 72. That's high. Higher than white bread. Higher than many processed carbs people are told to avoid. Now, technically, watermelon has a lower glycemic load per serving because it's mostly water. But that's not how people eat it. Nobody eats one small cube. They eat bowls. 2 cups, 3 cups, sometimes more, especially sitting outside in the heat, thinking they're making a healthy choice. That's the trap. Because watermelon has very little fiber, nothing to slow down the sugar. So when you eat a large portion, especially on an empty stomach, that sugar hits fast. Your bloodstream spikes. your insulin surges. And for older adults, especially over 60 or 70, that spike is sharper and more dangerous. I've seen this pattern over and over again. Someone cuts out soda, cuts out dessert, but replaces it with a big bowl of watermelon every afternoon. And their fasting blood sugar? Still climbing. They don't understand why. This is why. Because metabolically, in that context, watermelon behaves less like a whole fruit and more like sugar water in a green shell. Now, this doesn't mean you can never eat it. It means you have to eat it correctly. Here's the fix. Never eat watermelon alone. Never eat it on an empty stomach. Always eat it after protein, after a real meal. And control the portion. 1 cup. That's it. That simple change timing and portion can cut the blood sugar impact dramatically. But don't get comfortable yet, because the next fruit on this list is even more misleading. It comes with a health label, and that makes it far more dangerous. Number 6. Pineapple. This is what I call the health halo trap, because pineapple comes with a built-in reputation. People hear about bromelain, an enzyme linked to reduced inflammation, better digestion, and they assume the entire fruit must be good for everything, including blood sugar. That assumption is where the damage begins. Because metabolically, pineapple tells a very different story. 1 cup of pineapple contains over 16 grams of sugar, but only about 2 grams of fiber. That ratio, high sugar, low fiber, is exactly what overwhelms your system. There's nothing to slow absorption. Nothing to protect your liver from that incoming load. So the sugar hits fast. Your glucose rises quickly. And your insulin has to work overtime to keep up. Now, here's the part most people misunderstand. Bromelain does not control blood sugar. It helps break down protein. It supports digestion. But it does nothing to slow glucose absorption. 2 completely different systems. And yet, people confuse them all the time, because the word enzyme sounds healthy. A study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition compared post-meal blood sugar responses across several tropical fruits. Pineapple consistently produced one of the highest spikes. Same portion size. Much bigger impact. So, no, pineapple is not harmless. Not if your goal is stable blood sugar. Now, can you still eat it? Yes, but only with control. Small portions. A few chunks, not a bowl. And always after a meal that includes protein. Never on its own. Never blended. Because once you remove the structure, you remove the protection. And what you're left with is sugar that moves too fast for your body to handle. Number 5 is the one I see in kitchens. Constantly, especially in the summer and fall. Number 5. Mango. This is where things get uncomfortable. Because mango is one of the most loved fruits in the world. Sweet, rich, satisfying. But here's the reality no one tells you. 1 whole mango contains around 46 grams of sugar. 46. That's more sugar than a can of Coca-Cola. Let that sink in. Now, I'm not saying mango is poison. It has vitamin C. It has antioxidants. But none of that changes the metabolic impact when you eat it in large amounts. Because what your body responds to first is the sugar load. And with mango, that load is massive. Here's a pattern I see all the time. Someone decides to eat healthier. They cut out bread. They avoid rice. They stop eating desserts. But every morning, they eat a whole mango. They think they've made a smart swap. And yet, their blood sugar keeps rising. Their fasting numbers get worse. And they can't figure out why. This is why. Because even though it's natural, the effect on your body can be very similar to processed carbs when the portion is too large. It's not just the glycemic index. It's the total load. Over 40 grams of sugar hitting your system in one sitting. That's a flood. And your liver has to deal with it. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to eliminate mango completely. But you do have to respect it. Half a mango, not whole. Cut it, store the rest. And timing matters just as much as portion. Never eat it on an empty stomach. Always after protein. That one adjustment, half portion, right timing, can make the difference between a spike and stability. Now, quick question for you. How many of you have been eating fruit this way thinking it was helping? Drop a comment below. Because what you're about to see next is even more deceptive. And most people don't catch it until it's already affecting their numbers. Number 4. Grapes. This is the definition of a portion trap. Because individually, grapes seem harmless. Small, light, easy to eat. But that's exactly the problem. Nobody eats one grape. You sit down, turn on the TV, grab a bowl, and before you even realize it, you've eaten 30, 40, maybe 50 grapes. Completely mindless. Completely untracked. And here's what that actually means. 50 grapes contain around 35 to 40 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent of nearly 9 teaspoons of sugar hitting your system all at once. Now, here's the nuance most people miss. The skin of the grape contains beneficial compounds like resveratrol, good for your heart. But the inside? That's where the sugar is. And when you eat large amounts quickly, the sugar outweighs the benefit. Especially when there's no pause, no chewing barrier, nothing to slow you down. It becomes automatic. That's why grapes are so deceptive. They don't feel dangerous. But the way people eat them is. So here's the rule. 10 grapes. That's it. Not a handful. Not a bowl. 10 grapes eaten slowly after a proper meal with protein. Because once you control the portion, you control the spike. Number 3. Bananas. This is where the hidden truth changes everything. Because with bananas, it's not about the fruit. It's about the timing of ripeness. Green versus ripe is not a small difference. It's a completely different metabolic outcome. Here's what most people never hear. A green banana firm, slightly bitter, contains something called resistant starch. This type of starch is not digested in your small intestine. It passes through to your gut, feeds beneficial bacteria. And most importantly, it does not spike your blood sugar. But as the banana ripens, that resistant starch breaks down. It converts into simple sugars. Same banana, same size. Completely different effect inside your body. A green banana has a glycemic index around 30 to 40. A ripe banana? Around 60 or higher. That's a massive jump. And there's actual research behind this. A study published in Diabetic Medicine showed that resistant starch from unripe bananas improved insulin sensitivity and reduced fasting blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes. In other words, the unripe version helps. The ripe version can hurt. Now here's the practical part. If you're eating bananas, they should be slightly green, not fully yellow, definitely not brown and spotted. The firmer it is, the better your blood sugar response. And there's one more trick most people don't know. If you slice a slightly green banana and refrigerate it for a few hours, the resistant starch content increases even more. Cooling changes the structure, makes it even more stable, even more protective. Same fruit, different chemistry. And now, this is where things start to shift. Because the next two fruits don't just avoid the damage, they actually start working in your favor. Number 2, the apple. This is where things start to shift from damage control to actual protection. Because apples don't just avoid blood sugar spikes. They actively slow them down. And the reason comes down to one key compound: pectin. Pectin is a soluble fiber concentrated mostly in the skin of the apple. And when it enters your digestive system, it does something powerful. It forms a thick, gel-like layer. That gel acts like a barrier. Instead of sugar rushing into your bloodstream, it's released slowly, steadily, under control. Think of it like turning a flood into a drip. That single mechanism changes everything, and the science backs it. A study published in Diabetologia found that pectin can reduce post-meal insulin demand by up to 35%. That means your body doesn't have to work as hard. Less insulin, less stress on your system, more stability. But here's the mistake most people make. They peel the apple. Or worse, they drink it. Apple juice, applesauce. The moment you remove or destroy that fiber structure, you lose the benefit. No gel, no slowdown, just sugar hitting your bloodstream fast. So here's the rule. Whole apple, skin on, always. And there's one more layer most people never consider. Timing. If you eat an apple by itself, it helps. But if you sequence it correctly, it becomes even more powerful. Protein first, then the apple, then your carbohydrates. That order slows digestion, reduces glucose spikes, and gives you maximum control. Same fruit, but used the right way, it becomes a tool instead of a risk. Number 1. Blueberries. This is where everything comes together. Because this isn't just about avoiding damage anymore. This is about reversal. Let me tell you about Doris. 71 years old. Her A1C was 8.4. Her doctor had been pushing insulin for 2 years. She refused. She wanted one last attempt, using food. So she made one change. Every morning, half a cup of blueberries. After protein. No juice, no shortcuts. 90 days later, her A1C dropped to 6.1. Her doctor didn't celebrate. He went looking for an explanation. And he found one. A randomized controlled trial, published in the Times Journal of Nutrition Times, showed that blueberries significantly improved insulin sensitivity in just 6 weeks. Not a theory, a controlled experiment. And it gets stronger. A meta-analysis of multiple clinical trials found consistent reductions in fasting blood glucose and A1C in people consuming blueberries regularly. Now here's why. Blueberries are rich in compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give them that deep blue color. Inside your body, they activate something called AMPK. Think of AMPK as a metabolic switch. When it turns on, your cells become more responsive to insulin. Glucose moves out of your blood and into your cells more efficiently. Your system starts working again. And here's the best part. This isn't expensive. Frozen blueberries cost just a few dollars for days of use. Accessible, simple, effective. This is the difference. Not just managing blood sugar, but actually improving how your body handles it. Now stop. Because this is where most people undo everything we just talked about. 4 mistakes. Almost everyone makes at least one, and they completely cancel the benefits of fruit. Mistake number 1, fruit juice. I don't care if it says 100% natural. Once you remove the fiber, you're left with liquid sugar. It hits your bloodstream fast. No breaks. Metabolically, it behaves like soda. Mistake number 2, smoothies. They look healthy. They feel healthy. But blending destroys the fiber structure. Yes, the fiber is still there, but it no longer slows absorption the same way. So the sugar hits almost as fast as juice. Mistake number 3, eating fruit on an empty stomach. This is one of the fastest ways to spike your glucose. No protein, no fat, no buffer. Just sugar straight into your system. Stop doing this. Always eat fruit after protein. Always. Mistake number 4, dried fruit. Raisins, dates, dried mango. These are sugar bombs. Water removed. Sugar concentrated. Easy to overeat. Hard to control. Avoid all 4 of these mistakes, or nothing else you do will matter. If you keep eating fruit the way you are right now, you might be raising your blood sugar every single day while believing you're doing the right thing. That's the danger. Not ignorance. False confidence. So here's your reset. 7 steps. No confusion, no guesswork. Starting tomorrow morning, half a cup of blueberries. Every day, after protein, not before. That's your metabolic anchor. At lunch, one small apple, skin on, after your meal. Never alone. Dinner, no fruit, none. Because at night, your body is at its weakest point for handling sugar. Now lock in these rules. Never eat fruit by itself. Always after protein. This is non-negotiable. Control your portions. Half a cup, one apple, 10 grapes. If you're not measuring, you're guessing. And guessing is what got most people into trouble in the first place. And one more thing. Eliminate fruit juice completely. Today. Not cut back. Remove it. Because juice is not fruit. It's sugar without protection. Now here's what happens next. Follow this exactly for 3 days. Just 3. Track your fasting blood sugar every morning. You will see a change. And if you don't, then something is wrong. Which means you're still making at least one of the 4 critical mistakes we exposed. Go back, find it, fix it. Because this only works if you execute it correctly. Now I want you to do something important. Go into the comments right now and write your A1C. Whatever it is. 6.5, 7.8, 9.2. No filters. Because that number tells the real story. And it helps build something bigger than just one video. It builds awareness. And if what you learned today surprised you, the next video is going to hit even harder. There's one common food sitting in most kitchens right now that has been shown to directly improve insulin resistance. But almost nobody uses it the right way. Not even close. I'll link it right here. Watch it next. Because what you do after this video is what actually determines your outcome. Stay sharp. Stay consistent. And most importantly, stay safe, stay informed.